Greetings everyone and welcome to another video on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am not gonna lie, this one is a complete copy on Cubs fan Han's last 5 and next 5 Zeta video because I think it's actually a very good exercise for planning out the future. So I wanted to go over my last 5 Zetas, and I can remember which order they were actually in because 3 of them were on one character. And I do want to go over my next 5, although there is a big if caveat on those 5. So let's look at the most recent Zeta I gave, which was Carth Onassi's Leadership. So this was Soldier of the Old Republic, and this adds that whenever an enemy is inflicted with a damage over time effect, all Old Republic allies recover 3% health and protection. I did this 2-part. One, Carth is going to be the leader for at least part of the Darth Revan event still going on, so I thought it would be important to add as much power to his leadership as I can, and Canderous Ordo applies those dots like mad, so this is definitely going to keep him, Canderous, and Juhani kicking a lot longer. So I thought that was a pretty good Zeta to get. It's also very useful for Territory Wars and Grand Arena. So overall, I think it was a very solid investment, serving multiple purposes and moving me towards my main goal of Darth Revan. Now, Carth is still down another star, and I do want to point out that the goal of 17,500 GP is one of my goals because I would like to try and get Malick. I can't guarantee I can, but I'd like to try. So having him already Zeted up, he still needs another star, which is an extra 2,100, so that'll put him at about 1,580, which means I need to get more gear on him. I'm actually trying very hard to get the Mark II Zetas, or back to things, but I'm pretty much at the mercy of requesting the guild right now because I'm still getting close on farming. As you can see, Canderous is almost done. Basila's getting up there, and Juhani is just so far behind. Next time she pops up as a 16, I have the crystals saved to buy her. Alright, and then gonna do these slightly out of order, but 3 Zetas I put on were all 3 of Revan's Zetas. Now, the order I put them in was General first. That's his leadership that adds whenever an ally attacks out of turn, they recover 20% of their max protection and deal 35% more damage. So if you use, all in assists, boom. And then the bonus attack on an enemy with bonus protection reduce that target's max health by 10%. I recently used this against a Traya in Arena, and I watched it reduce her health down to like she was level 1. It's really stupidly powerful, and all Jedi allies begin with tenacity up. There's so much in this Zeta. It's definitely the all of them are really important, but this one just really makes any character under him that's Jedi OP. And it really helps out with Revan's power. Next, I did Hero, which is his second unique. This makes him immune to stun and ability block, and other light side allies gain half of the bonuses that he has. But if he's in the leadership roles, these bonuses are doubled, so he gets 20% tenacity, max health, or health steal, max protection, critical hit, avoidance, defense, and critical damage, and then allies gain 10% of that, and then he's again immune to those things. And then lastly, I did Direct Focus, which adds buff immunity for 2 turns, which can't be resisted, copied, or dispelled, increase their cooldowns by 1, and stun the target for 1. Emphasis, the stun is still resistible, but that buff immunity is really nasty. It's very helpful if you put it on Yoda because it keeps him from spreading buffs on enemy Revan teams. And then Direct Focus lets you get past tanks and just annihilate things. The buff immunity and the stun and the cooldown increase really make this ability as deadly as it can be, so definitely a worthwhile Zeta. I had originally considered that I may not add it, but really quickly realized, nope, mandatory Zeta. Alright, and the last Zeta I added was Jolie Bindo, and I would like to point out that he is also rather well geared, fully upgraded on his abilities, including 1 Zeta, and he's still just short. Now, I'm gonna get this in gear, because my goal is to take him to 12 for Arena, because currently I am running the Jedi Revan in Arena, and also you can squeeze a little bit out on mods, especially if you, if you make it to gear 12 where you can use 6 thought mods, it doesn't really matter, but if you're just trying to squeeze in the unlock for the Malick event, which is one of my longer term goals, then swapping out for some gold mods might not be the worst thing in the world. Okay, so those were my last 5 Zetas. and pretty self-explanatory. It's almost all about the Revans, and that's going to kind of influence that does directly influence my next 5 Zetas. So while doing this, I did look up the gearing requirements and the overall power of different characters for the Darth Revan and Jedi Revan event, and I've decided on these next 5 Zetas in this order. The next Zeta I have is going to go to Zal Bar. Now, I'd like to point out my goal is also to get him to Gear 11. Same with Mission and Karth and Canderous. I have Gear 11 goals for all of them. Zal Bar, of the first 3, Zal Bar probably has one of the best Zetas to offer. At the start of each of his turns, Zal Bar and Mission recover 10% protection for each damage over time effect on enemies. Zal Bar applies them, Mission applies them, and I plan on running these guys in an Old Republic Grand Arena team after the Revan event is done, so they'll have Karth and Canderous just pumping these things out like mad. When fully upgraded, Canderous has a chance to apply 3 in 1 hit, so yeah, it's pretty much a full protection up on each Zal Bar turn, which makes me think I might want to start remodding him into speed, but he's also a taunting tank. That's in, I think, Wookiee toughness or something. Oh yeah, no, it's just in the base thing. If Mission gets wounded, he taunts. So, but yeah, I think that's a very powerful Zeta, especially with the team I plan on running. That's just, like, that's going to be my secret weapon, basically, for Grand Arena and Territory Wars, is just a really, really nasty Galactic Republic team on defense. It's just going to be brutal. The next Zeta will go on Mission. I'm going to do me and Big Z forever. Now, this one's not as great, but it's still important. Once per turn, Mission assists when Zal Bar uses an ability. Any ability. So if he basics, he hits. If he blows it up, he hits. And then once this is Omega, she's gonna gain 10% turn meter if the target was debuffed, and if she's assisting Zal Bar, it's almost guaranteed to already have a debuff. Plus, then there's extra dazes going out. It's an okay Zeta. It's not the greatest, but Mission is one of the ones where if I don't take her to Gear 12, you really need the Zeta to push her to the required gear score. I'm still operating on the assumption I've got at least 40-ish days until the event. In fact, let me pull up my panic farming thing. So I estimate, okay, 36 days, 42 to farm. Most of them are in Gear 6 in Tier 6 except Juhani. So I'm definitely at the point where it's like panic farming is not needed as much. In fact, these numbers are a little old because I haven't updated in a couple days. But you know, my point remains that it's kind of very important. All right, so the last Zeta that is coming up is one of HK-47's, and that will be his self-reconstruction. This is the non-Revan dependent Zeta. Whenever he uses an ability during his turn, it deals 25% more damage if the target has Death Mark or Fear. Now, this is a sort of Revan dependent thing, but with Death Trooper and Fallen Bastila, it's still possible to utilize this. So I think this Zeta is still pretty useful of the two. The other one just straight up requires Darth Revan if he's in the leader, and then that is mostly a PvP kind of Zeta. So if I unlock, like, my rule on this one is Darth Revan first. It's not a cheap Zeta either at the 30 and the 13. Some of the Zetas are cheaper, so Darth Revan has to be unlocked for me to do this Zeta. Now, unfortunately, I just plain need a Zeta to get him over the edge. He's coming up on Gear 11, which is where I'm going to have him at for now. He's kind of Carbonti heavy, as you can tell. So, stun gun, Carbonti. Okay, that's bioimplant. I haven't looked at his gear in a couple days, so it's a decently Carbonti heavy character. I just had to put another Carbonti on him last level to get him to Gear 10. One of the guides I was reading says he's good enough to do the Darth Revan event, but again, Gear 11 just for comfort, and then one Zeta on him to make sure he has that extra 1900 galactic power. Now, the big if will be if I unlock Revan on the next go, which should happen probably, as long as the gear issue isn't too much of an issue. I should be able to unlock him. If I do, the next 3 Zetas go to him, and probably in a bit of a panic rush too, because if I unlock him, I think I only get like a week until Malick rolls around again. So I really would need a Zeta, at least 1 Zeta, I think, probably 2, to get him to the gear requirement. Obviously, he'll come up at 7 stars, and I'm never short of training mats these days, so getting him up would not be too hard. Abilities, though, that's where things are going to kind of get iffy. So the order will definitely be Lord of the Sith first. Sith Empire allies are immune to turn meter reduction. I need to look at his other 2 Zetas real quick. Villain, when he falls below 50%, equalizes the other healthiest ally. And then, is Conqueror got the Zeta, or is it on? Alright, Conqueror. Enemies can't assist or attack if they attack. Okay, so his Zetas aren't as important, I feel. Unless one of them... Spread the fear. Okay, so his Zetas aren't as important as, say, Jedi Knight Revan's Zetas, but still, that would be 3 on him. And then the real big if is if I get Malick. If I pull off getting Malick, and this one's the really not guaranteed. So this is the one that's kind of got me like, then I would probably do Jaws of Life first. Again, I'm copying this video partially from Cubs fan Han, because it was a great idea. And then this one just really makes him hard to kill. So if you can get Malick, that's definitely the priority Zeta. I think Gnawing Terror is the other one. Yeah. And then, you know, that's a good Zeta, but it's not like super, super powerful. I mean, if you have Malick, you're already kind of set, pretty much. I mean, if I could pull off getting Malick at my current GP overall, I would definitely not face many of them, I think. All right, so that was the if I get Revan path, and I know that's more than 5 Zetas, but you know, Revan just demands Zetas, and Malick, if you can get him, demands Zetas. That's pretty damn important. My other options, if I do not unlock Revan for some reason, this is going to be partially based on a leak, but this is something I've already been very suspicious of, is people have mentioned that there's going to be a Master Kenobi and a Fallen Anakin coming. I saw it in my guild Discord specifically, that Master Kenobi would require clones. And if we look at the list, there are only 5 clone troopers. I don't have any of them particularly geared up, but they're getting my attention. You know, a couple of them are pretty close. Like, I've been farming 5s in the Cantina shop now. Echo, I think, is the hard one, if I'm not mistaken. He is the guild shop only one, and I've been using that on gear. So, and Cody, is Cody also? Yeah, Cody is also. So, getting the clones is actually really hard. Just getting them to 5 stars would be difficult. Now, some people have some of them done because of ships, but a lot of people, especially the newer players, don't have clones. If this is to be believed, and I think it is true, I would put the Zeta on Cody's leadership. It's Ghost Commander Company, and it adds 5% critical chance, 10% defense, and clones recover 5% of their max protection whenever they use a basic ability. I think that's a pretty damn good Zeta if you're going to run clones. I'm suspicious there's going to be reworks of them in the near future, because we've had the Separatists getting some love now, and the Galactic Republic Jedi getting love. I think the clones are going to get reworked, and then boom, Master Kenobi will happen. And then in the same vein, the other part of the leak said that you would need Padme for Fallen Anakin, which makes sense because this is a movie-based character, so there's a lot more character-based stuff on how to unlock him. So I think, what was it? It was... And the weird one was also, it mentioned Palpatine, so he might be another one too. Chancellor Palpatine, not Emperor Palpatine. So... it was Jedi Knight Anakin, Padme, Master Kenobi, I think Ahsoka Tano, and and then Palpatine. So this is based on a leak, but that would put Padme pretty high on a priority list. So I would then drop a Zeta on General Grievous. I'm gonna do Daunting Presence as leadership, and then to unlock Padme is another arduous legendary. So, I don't know if I could pull it off. Like, honestly, because I'm still chasing Revans. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think even especially like with Darth Revan coming, I feel like, okay, if I can unlock him, I'll have top meta capabilities, at least partially, for at least a couple months where I can get back in the top hundreds. There's just too many whales on my shard. I cannot win like top arena. And I don't know what the next big thing is going to be for ships. There's not really a strong indicator. We've only had 2 ships so far come out this year, and it's been, 3, because Han's Millennium Falcon just came out, and usually the ship meta is dominated for a very long time. You know, Thrawn and Houndstooth was the last big thing. Now it's Han's Falcon, Houndstooth, and Akbar dominating. So I think that's going to be I think that's going to stay the meta for a while longer. Again, it is what fuels my crystals. It's the reason I have, 1,700 crystals right now. And I should have more, but I slacked off a little bit. I was in WoW, and I missed my fleet arena. I only took rank 5 instead of rank 1 because I accidentally AFK'd because I got a text message mid-battle, and I forgot to go back to the battle. So, don't text an arena. So that's that theory. And again, Grievous and Padme is confirmed. So Grievous is the first of those 2. I figure by the time I'd have another Zeta, if I'm not gearing up Revan and I'm done with Grievous, I figure at that point I'll know much more certainly if Fallen Anakin's coming and if the clones are useful or not. If it's not, then I'm probably going to put it on B2 Battle Droid because his unique is really, really helpful with the Padme event. Yeah, basically, if I can get Darth Revan geared, if I can get Darth Revan, first of all, and even better, if I can get Malick, then I gotta gear up those 2 characters, and they've got that stupid, Chirotech or whatever it is. Where is it? It's in here, and it's a pain. It's the new piece of gear. Where are you, you giant pain in the butt? Oh, I guess it's not in the weekly right now. But it's usually in here too. Oh, yeah, here we go. These things. So, yeah. Those. Not cheap. Definitely not cheap. So, yeah. If those would pretty much drain my resources pretty nastily. It also kind of sucks of how much gear Padme requires too. Yeah, so I'm more doing this for me than to actually make content, but I really do, like, that's my plan. As far as who gets the next Zetas, probably I should do HK first. I know I said Zal Bar, but if I think about it, it's like, okay, HK is coming up for the event, Zal Bar is not. And then Canderous, I looked, and while I might actually be able to pull off Canderous with just gear. I know he's pretty low right now, like he's barely at 10k, but another 1900 from this. I'll finish getting his stuff up because his unique or his special is not the greatest. It has some, like, it's got some synergy and anti-tank stuff, but it's mostly for Darth Revan. But you don't run him with Darth Revan. But as for gear, he's kind of Carbonti heavy, but he's actually pretty light on the gold pieces, which is why I'm thinking I can actually just get away with gearing him. And he would be one of those characters where, like, I would probably borrow the offense mods off Yoda or something like that, just to get him a little extra boost. All right, that covers my plan for the next 5 Zetas or so. It's obviously subject to change, and especially since I'm betting on either A, getting the latest Journey character, or B, not getting him and then shifting my attention to preparing for the potential upcoming one. I do want to kind of talk about that actually real quick, because, you know, the future in this game is sometimes pretty obvious. Like, when Jedi Revan was coming, we knew we kind of figured, okay, Revan's coming, you're going to need the Old Republic. We just didn't figure that, oh, hey, you'd have 1 week to farm. So, I mean, that was a surprise, and then he was the meta, and if you didn't have him, it royally sucked, and, you know, it still kind of sucks if you don't have him, because most arena shards are pretty damn Revan-dominated. I mean, hell, that's all I can face, except for the occasional, that team, and I'm just swapping spots with this person, basically. So, it's a pretty damn Revan world right now. And Darth Revan was obvious. I tried to, like, I set the goal of 5-star. I just didn't have it in time because I was working on getting the Han's Falcon, basically. So, and I wasn't too serious. Like, if I had really, really tried, and been willing to spend, I probably could have pushed for Revan, at least gear or star wise. Maybe not gear wise. He's nasty gear wise. Like, I'm shooting for the goals of non-arena members, gear 11, arena members, gear 12. That means Fallen and HK. But, you know, and he was pretty obvious meta. And then the meta is pretty much always going to be dominated by the journey characters. I mean, the one time it wasn't was a raid character in Traya. And we haven't had a new raid this year, and I don't know when we're getting a new raid. As far as easy mode, we've kind of got the Sith raid to the point where we had the tank raid as a community. To the point where, yeah, it's done within a day of it launching. It's not a challenge, unless, like, a bunch of people aren't particularly invested in doing it. So, I feel like we're due for a raid. We're getting a new territory battle first, and I guess that's probably pretty heavy on the assets. Again, I thought Starforge was going to be a raid, but that turned out to be a legendary event, or mini-mythic, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like the meta, though, is pretty obvious most of the time, and it's kind of screaming to me, okay, Fallen Anakin is coming. Like, he's been a long-speculated character, so it seems pretty obvious to me he's coming. So I could theoretically, and I should have done it basically the moment Padme was announced, but now that I have a pretty solid piece of evidence in the leak, because these leaks have been pretty damn accurate for the most part, except for poor Grievous, it's pretty damn obvious he's coming now. So if I wanted to, knowing what I know, I could drop everything, gear up Jedi Anakin, gear up Ahsoka, gear up Grievous and his droids, just finish farming them, get them up, you know, gear 11 on a full GG team should be enough to knock out Padme. Then get the clones up. No idea on the difficulty level, just assume arduous, but, you know, they might surprise us with a relatively easy one, who knows. I'm at the point where I'm just like, okay, screw C-3PO, he ain't worth it. But, you know, if that's, please tell me this is donation delivery. Nope, the raid just got sent. Oh, thank God. Oh, perfect. Oh, damn. One short, and it's a piece of freaking, it's a piece of raid gear. So, I'm gonna be one piece short of being able to give Canderous that. Where's Canderous? So, not only does he need this, but he needs this, which is that. Oh, and I'm short that too, but 49 out of 50. Damn. Okay, sorry, slight distraction. But, you know, I could do that, and then it might be the Chancellor Palpatine then is the pay-to-play, the last second pay-to-play element, and they marquee him. And then that's what locks people out of the next journey character. So that could be the theory. Or it could be Darth Sidious, and they just misread it, in which case, I'm ready. He was one of my first max level characters. He is a leader I use forever. It's kind of sad to me. It's like, wow, his mods suck, but he was one of my first gear 12s and the first one I got all 3 pieces on. So he, like, if he's the one, cool, I'm ready. one of the few crazies who is. But my point is, you could do that, and you could start zeroing in now. May the 16th is when I'm recording this. If I had to guess, I'd say Fallen Anakin comes out around August, September-ish. That's around when Revan dropped, and that is a financial deadline area for EA, and EA is kind of struggling, so, you know, they need all they can get. They're forcing all their games to squeeze as hard as they can on microtransactions. So I could easily see them doing that to Fallen Anakin. My guess is he'll get way more pull than freaking Revan did, because more people know who he is. So I don't know. This is another one of those points where, yeah, I could chase the next meta. I'd really screw myself over on the current meta. I could chase it, or I could just kind of be like, all right, I'm going to just basically always be 1 or 2 attempts behind. I got Jedi Revan on his third time around. I'm hoping to get Darth Revan on his second try. Malick is one of those weird ones because he's got such unusual requirements that I'm not sure I'll get him up. Because requiring that much GP out of 10 characters is a really big investment, and I don't know if I can pull it off, honestly. Gear is expensive. Gear is honestly kind of hard to do, sometimes harder to do than starring characters. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because I'd be okay with Fallen Anakin being the new meta. You know, I doubt I doubt anything will ever be as dominant as Jedi Revan. I wouldn't be surprised if after a year they just nerf him, like just straight up nerf him because he's so stupidly overpowered. Because again, if you don't have something very specifically built to him, he is one of those teams that is just a wall. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we get a nerf. All right, that's my little tangent. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice day. Good luck on your hunts for Revan and Padme. Farewell.